Hi guys, my ISP provided me for free a FritzBox 7530, an ADSL, VDSL modem and wireless router. It also has an integrated DECT telephone system, gigabit Ethernet hub, USB port, and it can operate as a media server. So I thought it's been a while since I've done a router review, so I thought we would have a look at it together. Some of you may know my consumer router days are over, and I'm now very much an open source pfSense or OPNsense router fan, and I have a dual WAN setup as well. So this box is not really suitable for my own purposes, but I thought it would be interesting to give it a test and see what it's like. FritzBox are a German company and they have an interesting approach. I like the look of their devices and they do have a good reputation. This one retails for around £135 in the UK, so it's kind of a higher end device, and I guess we should expect performance accordingly. It's also interesting because it promises not just the normal wireless routing and ADSL connectivity, but it also offers IP telephony and also to operate as a DECT digital base station for up to 6 digital phone handsets. I must admit I've always liked their approach to design and the way that their equipment looks, although in reality I'm not sure how important that actually is for most people, as most of us don't keep our internet routers in pride of place on the mantelpiece in our living room. Usually they're tucked away somewhere where they can't easily be seen. But I do like the kind of 1960s sci-fi design look or aesthetic that they've gone for. It'll be interesting to see whether it's as beautiful on the inside and in function as it is on the outside. The hardware is based on the IPQ4019, which is a Qualcomm single chip Wi-Fi system on chip. So it gives you 11 AC and N Wi-Fi. I think it supports mesh and advanced Wi-Fi features and has kind of network on board. And looking down here, it talks about the modem chipset being a LANTIC chipset. And on my phone lines, I've always found LANTIC chipsets to connect slightly quicker or with higher speed than my Broadcom preferred chipsets, but with slightly less stability. So it'll be interesting to see how it performs on my line. And the unit comes with a 5-year manufacturer's warranty. I mean, that's good. I won't be testing the telephony functions comprehensively as part of this review because it's not something that I would use. But let's have a look at the contents of the box and what you get. Conscious of the fact that this is a router provided to me by my ISP, and it is actually their edition, so that may actually it may have actually been pre-configured in some way, and it'll be interested to see. You obviously get an ADSL filter, an ADSL lead and cable, a power supply. It's a 2 amp power supply with a 3-pin plug adapter, which is nice to see. So it's not a hugely power hungry, it's a relatively low power device. Obviously came with a LAN cable that you saw earlier there. Okay, great. This is an adapter to plug in a conventional analog telephone into the back of the modem if you're using it for telephony. On the back, the big sticker seems to show all the necessary information. I won't be using this router in anger, so I'm not really worried about revealing the wireless key and other stuff, but it's good to see that it's all been pre-configured to be, it looks like, secure. It's got a bunch of buttons on the top, none of which I'll be using. 4 LAN ports at the back. It's a gigabit LAN, a conventional analog phone socket, the socket for the DSL modem. That is a different style of phone socket with which I'm not familiar, and a USB 2 or 3 port on the side. Otherwise, just a standard sort of plasticky construction. Doesn't feel particularly well made, nor does it feel particularly badly made, and that's where your power goes in. Okay, maybe let's have a look at the setup. So this is genuinely the first time that I've attempted any kind of setup. It comes pre-configured with its own DNS URL, which is FritzBox, I think. Okay, so we're going through this genuinely for the first time together, and so I imagine this is very much the experience that most new users will have. Okay, great. We're in the web UI. That seemed to work pretty well. Okay, I'm not going to walk you through the entire setup process, but suffice to say that I think this was probably the easiest router setup I have ever done, especially as it appears that my ISP Zen had pre-configured the router with all of the necessary ADSL settings. Whether that would be the case for other ISPs, I don't know, but literally put the password in that was on the back, did a restart, took quite a few minutes to reconfigure itself, which I've sped up as part of the process, logged back in again, and that was pretty much it. It was done. And I noticed also, actually, that we'll have a look at the wireless settings a bit later, but pre-configured secure WPA2 wireless has already been set up. So really, for someone who wasn't particularly familiar with router or wireless router setup, I really like this. It's been a really good process, and I actually really like the web interface as well, which is simple on the surface, but actually when you dig deeper has a lot of quite advanced configuration options. And here we are at the summary page, and as you can see, the DSL is connected, the wireless is up and working, and as the passwords and other configuration information on the back of the router, provided it's kept confidential obviously, would actually work perfectly well for most people without making any changes whatsoever. So I really like the setup. I think it's been done very well indeed. Another feature I really like is it shows you the firmware version on the home page, and if you click on it, it shows you immediately that there is an updated version, and I was able to update the firmware automatically from within the web UI and get myself up to the latest version with absolutely no input other than clicking buttons myself, which I really like. So I've speeded up the process considerably because it took a little while to update itself, but basically I'm logging back into the system now after the firmware update, and there it says the Fritz OS version has been successfully installed and we're now up to 7.12. That's a really good feature that you don't find on some routers. Here's me inserting a USB device into the USB socket on the side of the router to see whether I can use it as and access it from the web UI. So there's the USB stick identified as I plugged it in, and here's me reconfiguring the USB port to USB 3. If I click on the NAS element, you can see that you can use this device as a storage device, and later in the video I do also access the USB device and have a look at the contents of the USB drive. So that functionality also seems to be working well, and from what I've read in the manual, you can also connect a USB modem and use a wireless network connection, like for example a 4G connection as a modem, if you choose to do so. I'm not going to look at or test the telephony functions, although as I stated earlier in the video, you can use this unit both as an IP telephone hub, or you can use it, and I believe it has a built-in DECT, digital domestic phone hub built in, and it can connect to standard DECT phones. I can imagine that functionality being really useful to some people, but it's not something that I'll be using. Looking at the wireless capability of the device, it's obviously dual band wireless N, and here's me connecting my mobile phone to the wireless LAN. I like the fact that it's pre-configured with a secure wireless network already. In terms of the range, I mean, I haven't tested it thoroughly, but I did a brief test, walked around my house and compared it with my Ubiquiti Enterprise wireless access points that I've got installed in the house. The range is very much what I see from other devices. So in my experience, domestic wireless equipment operating at full power has very similar range from most of the various manufacturers that I've tested, and this is no different. So I think you certainly won't get worse range from this than you would from other devices of its type, and it does seem to be well configured and gives you the ability to look at the different channels and choose a channel with the minimal amount of interference. I also like the fact that it has the ability to give you guest access to your network, so kind of secure limited access for people visiting your home or wherever you have this set up without giving them access to your private network. The FritzBox also has a media server ability and can access devices through its USB port and serve media and data from there. But also, interestingly, I see that it will stream internet radio and other internet accessible media via the UPnP server and web radio as well. So I think that's quite interesting functionality. Again, I haven't tested it, but the fact that it's there, I think is a really good option for people. I briefly compared the connection speed of the modem in this device with my Broadcom modems, and there is no issue at all. Good connectivity and stability, so no issue there. So let's summarize. VDSL or ADSL modem router with gigabit Ethernet, wireless LAN with AC or wireless N, USB 3 port which you can use for printers, modems or media and as a media server, a built-in DECT base station for up to 6 handsets, and the system is based on the system on a chip, as I discussed earlier, the Qualcomm system on a chip with a non-techy DSL modem. So in conclusion, on a positive side, I like the funky retro space age case and style. I like the web UI a lot, and behind the simple interface there are the advanced capabilities you might need. I also like the fact that the security setup is good, even with the default settings when you first switch it on. You can use the USB port as a NAS or as a media server, and you have the telephony options that we've discussed. On the negative side, it is quite expensive. The performance isn't anything exceptional. It's quite plasticky on the outside, and in my view the telephony functionality will only appeal to a small group of users, not the majority of people. Overall though, I have to say I'm really impressed with this router. I really like the interface, the setup, the thought that's gone into the configuration and making it simple for people, and it's the kind of router that I would, if I was going to somebody else's house or premises to set up a simple connection based on a single line on VDSL or ADSL, it'd definitely be one of my choices, because I think it offers all of the configurability but with a simple interface for people to use. So day to day I think users are going to have an easy time with it, but if they need more advanced functionality, it's there. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.